Hey there! Welcome to the Magnolia demo. Founded in 1997 with a vision to create the first truly open content management system, Magnolia is now the world's leading composable digital experience platform. We help clients succeed by giving them the flexibility they need to make truly differentiated customer experiences. Thanks to our open architecture and headless approach that works for developers and marketers alike, Magnolia is now the DXP of choice for a new wave of companies. Our customers know they can trust us to help them stay ahead of the pack. Get ready to discover what Magnolia can do for you.
Hello and welcome to our walkthrough of Magnolia. Let's go. First of all, I'm going to log in as a normal content editor. And what we see here, that's the Magnolia Admin Central. Basically, what we have here, based on the actual role that we have, is a collection of different apps that we need to work with the system. For example, the Pages app, we will work with Pages. Digital signage, this is where we can work on content for our digital signage systems. Mobile, if we have a native mobile app, then this is where we can work on content for this mobile app. Down here we have apps for assets, so all our documents and images, as well as a few apps for our content pool. One of the really amazing things of that app concept is that once you understand one app in Magnolia, you understand every single app in the system, simply because the general structure is always the same. So if I go here to the Pages app, then always on the left-hand side, this is where our content lives. In this case, because the nature of the content is apps, as pages, we see here then all the different pages for each and every single site. And on the right-hand side, we have the action bar. So the action bar, that's really like the remote on your TV. Those are all the actions that you need to basically interact with that content. For example, with Add Page, I can create a new page, I can publish pages, audit them for SEO, translation processes, and so on. And as we're going to see later on, that structure, as said, is completely identical. Therefore, the learning curve is extremely fast. Another thing, because we have so many specialized apps for all the different use cases that we have at hand, it's very important that we find the right content. And for that, we have here our search bar. And with the search bar, I can basically search the full content repository of Magnolia. So, for example, if I go here for bath, then we just basically get here everything with bathroom, from pages, from assets, from categories, and so on. On top of this, for search, we have here this faceted search. And that means that I can even start to narrow down my search based, for example, on the time period edited, on who was the last editor, on how is that content classified. All right. Now that we have a good understanding how the core principles of Magnolia work, we are ready to have a look on more advanced topics. Let's speak about security and rights and roles in Magnolia. For that, I'm going to log in as an administrator. Okay, what we have seen already is the account that I use is actually determining what kind of functionality is available for me. And that's not only true for the apps in general. The same thing goes also for the different actions that I have. That means based on the actual role that I have, I can trigger certain actions. So for example, you could just say that someone is not able to delete a page, not able to move a page, not to personalize content, and so on. Each and every aspect can be basically configured based on a role. Let's talk a little bit more about those roles in detail, because it's not only about available apps and the action bar, It's also about what kind of content is available for me, what kind of content can be edited by me, what kind of content is just totally hidden for me. For that, you guess it, we have an app. So for that, we have the Securities app. Very important. The heart of it all is just this very classical combination, this very old enterprise pattern. We have various roles, and all those roles are basically combined into groups. And typically those groups are then applied to different users. Let's have a look on those roles. So I'm just going to take a random role to explain the concept behind it. So let's go here for our editor demo. It's just a random role. Two things here are extremely important. The web access. So with the web access, you can specify what kind of REST endpoints and what kind of, even from Magnolia or from the website itself, what can be really accessed. So here in this web access, you can then just configure for get post what kind of URLs REST endpoint can be actually accessed. That's one part. But what about the content? This is what we see here in the access control list. Because each and every app that we have seen is coming with its own workspace. So the web page has its own workspace, assets, campaigns, and so on. Everything comes with an own workspace. And what you can do is you can, down to the node, down to the asset, down to the page, specify what kind of content can be edited, deleted, or should be even seen. So let's say for this editor role here, we want to have access to the website. So here I can decide, for example, choose that user has full read and write access to the full home website. So save changes. But on top of this, he has only read-only access to the, let's say, Spanish website. And obviously the same thing goes for assets and so on. In a nutshell, based on this fine granular concept of rights and roles, it's very easy also to come up with an almost multi-tenant-like scenario where you just have multiple sites and you have dedicated country editors that only, let's see, their own content or their own campaigns. And yeah, as you can guess, this is going to help you a lot to cut and slice the roles in an optimal way for security and for efficiency. All right. So much for rights and roles in Magnolia. Let's go a little bit deeper. Let's talk about something that we call the filter chain. And it's really important to understand why Magnolia is as secure as it is. If you think about Magnolia, might it be just the editing instance where we have just worked all the time, or also on the live instances that are going to deliver the content? No matter what kind of instance you're going to communicate with, there's only one way and only one way to access the system. And that is basically the Magnolia filter chain. So this is really the only entry to talk to the system. And if we have a quick look on the filter chain, how it works, then we have here the filter chain. And just to explain it a little bit more, each and every single request has to trickle down through that filter chain. And therefore, there's also no way to basically bypass, let's say, security for login. There's no way to peddle with the CSRF security and so on. This is really one of the main reasons why Magnolia is as stable as it is. And that's also one of the reasons why it's rather simple to also integrate external authentication systems. I mean, sure, we just come with all the tricks of the trade for OAuth and so on, as you can guess. But let's say you have some kind of custom developed security solution. It's very simple to integrate that into Magnolia because you can just go to the login section, And then in the login handlers, you could then even write your own filter to integrate your own security solution. All right, and that concludes our quick overview on rights, roles, and security in Magnolia. Thank you, and see you in the next one.